My name is Flo and I am a domestic abuse survivor. I actually met my ex-partner through my neighbour. I moved about 300 miles away from my hometown in Essex to start a better life. And through that, I was kind of branching out to meet new people. I was 19 and just wanting to live my best life. At the start, I wasn't even really interested in him. It was weird because he kept pursuing me until it then did cross over into a more romantic relationship. I've said it before and I will say it again, the abuse happened so quickly, so I don't really have that many good memories of him. It wasn't like I had this prolonged 3 years of him love bombing me and making me feel absolutely amazing. I fell pregnant the first time we slept together, and as soon as he found out that I was pregnant, that night was the first time I experienced physical assault from him. I was a victim of financial abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and physical abuse. The abuse that he did that was physical was non-fatal strangulation and waterboarding. Non-fatal strangulation didn't exist in 2013, though, although the act did. The actual crime has only recently come in, so it wasn't something that I even really knew the severity of until a lot later on in my journey of recovery. There was a lot of emotions, there was a lot of hormones because I was pregnant. I believed society when they kept saying to me that my child needed a dad and that he wouldn't be a good child if he didn't have a dad. So that was what kept me through the pregnancy. But when I fled back to Essex and I put 300 miles in between him and I. And that is really where the emotional abuse and the emotional manipulation happened quite frequently. Every day I was being called up. There was lots of love bombing, lots of gaslighting, lots of sort of emotional abuse. And again, he was forcing me to pay for him and pay for the house because we'd just taken out a contract before I fled. And I ended up getting in £60,000 worth of debt. I've just very recently paid that off, and that took me over a decade. I really want people to understand that it's not as simple as just leaving. There are so many internal scars that you couldn't possibly see or understand that we need to try and heal. So my experience of reporting the abuse, unfortunately, hasn't been the greatest. I was fresh out of an abusive relationship. I was very confused. I was young and scared, and the idea that police officer said it was going to open a can of worms, I wasn't ready for it. So I dropped the charges. When I ultimately was ready to press charges again, this was in 2019 or 2020, everything had timed out. It is something that I struggle with to this day. The only thing that didn't time out was my rape. That was timeless. So I am pressing charges for that. The police officer gave me all of these words. So, he gave me terminologies for the things that I'd gone through. He told me that what I'd actually gone through was rape. What I'd actually gone through was waterboarding, but he didn't give me a place to actually compartmentalize that or process it. Fast forward now 4 more years, because I've had more interactions with the police very recently because of the job that I do and the line of work that I'm in. I speak quite freely about the abuse that I suffered, and my abuser found me again online where he started stalking and harassing me. It was very triggering. I forgot everything that I'd learned over the decade of being an advocate and learning, growing up. And I just instantly went back to this 19-year-old girl where I was petrified. I was frozen. I didn't know what to do. But I met one lovely police officer, and he is ultimately the reason why my abuser has now, for the first time in a decade, been arrested. He was bailed, but it gives me that sort of satisfaction to know, okay, somebody's taken me seriously. And I don't believe that I would be sat here today saying this good and happy ending about a police officer if it wasn't for that one police officer in Essex Police. So for him, I thank him. I get asked this question on a regular basis, and I still don't have, I think, a clear answer for you. Everybody comes to the decision at their own time, but it is really, really important that when they do come to that decision, when they do understand what they are going through, that you are there, no judgment, no shame, and you open your arms up to that person. Abusers can abuse people because they segregate them from their friends and from their family. And when they try and flee and they are met with disdain or distrust or anger from their loved ones, all that does is push them back into the hands of the abuser. Whilst I recognise that everybody deserves the right to not live in a toxic situation. So if I am the friend and I'm constantly trying to give advice, I am within my rights to remove myself from that situation if it isn't serving me. But I know that once they need me, I will be there. I have so many messages to survivors, so it's quite difficult just to choose one. But I would hope that they could see my growth and understand that although it is difficult and stressful at times, it's still growth. And I believe you deserve to live in a life full of love and happiness and support. I believe that you deserve to live in a life where you're not having to worry about them opening the car door in the wrong way, or how they're walking up the stairs, or how they sound when they're washing the pots. I believe that you deserve to live completely and utterly free. I see you, I hear you, I value you completely, and I am not alone. I have a whole community of women, of people that value you, see you, and believe you. And no matter what your abuser says, it's not true, and we are here for you. If you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic abuse, please contact the National Domestic Abuse Helpline.